Previously, Keelan picked up Sean's body the moment it hit the floor of the ship, and he booked it for the portal between the planes with help from a quickly cast haste by Zaya. The moment he was on the other side, he brought the karma out from its bottle. He quickly carried Sean below decks and moved the coins from Tornek's other body to hers to keep it in a state of gentle repose. Then he quickly started getting the forcibly conscripted crew ready to get them the fuck out of there, since he knew the others would be right behind him, just like they'd hurriedly planned as he dashed away. They definitely wouldn't even consider doing anything else. Meanwhile, in the shadow plane, the others tried to fight their way off the ghost ship as the shades on it turned against them. Tornak accidentally killed one with his singing, and Oz not so accidentally killed another with repeated greatsword strikes to the face, and they quickly realized that killing the shades freed them from their eternal prison. Taria being Taria, she immediately had a new goal. Taria focused on freeing the remaining shades, much to the frustration of several people around her, especially Zaya, to the shock of no one. Meanwhile, the ship that had been heading in their direction arrived at the edge of the atoll. As they watched, the ship started to fly until it landed in the murky water in the center. They saw that its name was the Arcane Tidal Bore. A reddish-skinned tiefling grinned and bowed to them as the ship went straight past them. A purple-skinned tiefling woman was tossed from the ship as they watched, just before it went through the membrane to the other plane. Keelan saw the ship land in the water on the other side and continue on its way, completely ignoring both the karma and himself. Taria realized that she recognized the name of the ship. It was an ancient magic ship that helped the Empire win the war that led them to banning magic, and it was scuttled in the aftermath because its very nature was magical. The last of the shades was killed, disappearing in a burst of bright light. As the last shade disappeared, the burning words on the bell faded as well, and the ship started to fall apart. Quickly. So of course, Taria and Zaya went below decks to try and get through the door that had killed Sean just a few minutes earlier. In the process, Taria gave Zaya a potentially evil book full of ancient rituals, which was fine, nothing to worry about. Tornak rushed to check on the tiefling woman who'd been tossed from the other ship, who was pushing herself to her feet and cursing loudly. Her name was Vitalia, and the tiefling man they'd seen was Kalroth. He'd stolen her ship from her. Below decks, Taria managed to get through the trap door without setting off the power word kill trap on it. She and Zaya rushed inside to loot everything they could from the captain's quarters, including a small adamantine box. Then they rushed towards the deck of the ship. But only Zaya managed to get to it before the entire fucking ship collapsed in on itself. The group, plus their new acquaintance Vitalia, who had nothing better to do since her ship had been stolen from her by way of mutiny, worked together to dig Taria out of the rubble before it exploded from all of the gunpowder in the hold mixing with flames. They all rushed for the barrier to try to make it to the karma. As they went through the membrane, various wild magics affected several of them in a number of ways. That turned out to be surprisingly important thanks to a very lucky D100 roll. The rest of the group made it to the karma, and Tornek somehow instinctively knew that the wild magic that had hit him had temporarily given him a new ability. He was able to use a resurrection spell that was typically outside of his abilities to bring Sean back to life. Poor Sean was very confused about what had happened, especially when the group started talking about the very, very, very many things that had taken place over the short amount of time she'd been dead, including the tiefling they'd apparently adopted. Vitalia gave a general overview of who she was, and she talked a bit about the Arcane Tidal Bore and the Nightwind. The Nightwind was a prototype, and the Arcane Tidal Bore was something they'd stolen when it was scuttled by the Empire. All she really wanted was to escape the Shadow Realm, which the group had helped her do. She wasn't particular about anything other than that. She took a deep breath, and everyone felt just a little weaker, as if they'd lost a single bit of energy. Her horn sank into her skin, her purple skin faded somewhat, and her tail disappeared. When she leaned back against the rail of the ship, it darkened slightly, as if it was aging or being corrupted. Zaya reacted badly, pushing to just kill Vitalia and be done with it, which led to an argument among the group. Which wasn't particularly a surprise, since commenting on the weather could lead to an argument among the group. During said argument, the group mentioned that they were going to the Aetherglen crater. Vitalia was surprised to hear that. She talked a little about the Praetors crossing over there to mine dark tears from the Shadow Realm, although she didn't actually use any of those words. Eventually, they agreed to put the conversation on hold for the time being, since it clearly was going in circles yet again. That said, during said argument, Taria did mention to everyone that she'd given the Book of Rituals to Zaya, much to the concern of a number of them. Taria took Vitalia below deck, putting her in the room that Taria had previously claimed, and moving the rest of the not quite consensual crew to the general crew quarters so that there would be less of a chance of Vitalia inadvertently stealing their life force and killing them. Sean slipped down to cast Gentle Repose on Tornek's old body, handing the coins that had previously been used on it to Keelan and asking him to keep them, just in case they were ever needed again in a pinch. She'd have to recast her spell every 10 days on Tornek's body, but it was worth it to have the coins as a backup, as they had learned the hard way. Keelan asked her if they should be worried about the Book of Rituals that Taria had apparently given Zaya. Sean told him yes, but that the potentially unstable dark tear that Zaya had stashed somewhere on her body was probably something to be more concerned about. Keelan then once again had a brief moment where he questioned many of his life choices. Then he headed off to cast Identify on a few of the items they'd picked up. And that is where we left off.